Hello viewers, welcome back to our channel. In today's video we are going to be looking at something nice. The title says, who wants more sex, men or women? Before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell because it will help you get notified when we upload good videos like this. Thank you very much. Now let's get into the video. Research shows that men want sex more often than women at the start of a relationship, in the middle of it, and after many years of it. Even gay men also have sex more than most lesbians at all stages of the relationship. It is very tricky to know between men and women who love sex more, as the way we look at sexual desire is drowned in a lot of cultural beliefs that are not so true. You'd probably get a different answer depending on what you believe about libidos, how they work, and what you think about all the rumors going around about sexual desires. The main idea flying around is that men desire more sex often than women. Not just that, it's now like a commonly acceptable idea that men have greater sex drives than women. Every now and then, everyone sees men as people who are always in a constant state of sexual arousal, or as people who always need sex all the time. This started changing though during the 18th century, when women's sexual pleasure was started to be seen as something disturbing and unnatural. Women were now seen as the righteous ones, while men were the sexual beasts. This isn't something we can take for granted, because the way it is being viewed isn't all that true. The question about who has more sexual desires than the other doesn't just have to be what we think. It doesn't have to do with our view of the gender. Whether it is a male or female, it also depends on what we think libido is. We always tend to see libido as something that happens suddenly, more like an urge from the hormones, hunger or thirst for something. Researches that were conducted on sexologicals shows that thinking that libido is a sudden urge is a retarded and old-fashioned way of thinking, especially as it regarded to women being completely free of this. There are, in actual sense, two different types of sexual desires: the spontaneous sexual desire and the responsive sexual desire. The spontaneous libido is the one that happens or occurs right out of nowhere. Maybe you guys were just talking and laughing and suddenly one of you begins to feel sexually inclined. And note, this can happen to either the guy or the lady, not just the guy. To be truthful though, men are the ones mostly inclined to having that spontaneous desires, when women are more of the responsive desire. This only means that men's desire may be seen as being more potent, as it shows the way we've been made to believe their libido works. But to be actual speaking, that can happen to anyone, even the lady. The lady can be the one with the spontaneous desire, while the man responds, though the cases are rare. According to studies, it has been found that when it comes to libido levels between the male and female, the men's libido is slightly higher than the women's. But some researches may not be entirely true or trustworthy. It can still be that women want more sex than their men or partners think. The latest research by some certain psychologists at the Toronto University and the Western Ontario University show that some men who have been in some long-term relationships have often underrated how often their wives or girlfriends want to have intercourse with them. According to research, men consistently underestimate their female partner's desires, while the woman is always very smart as to know when their man wants to get intimate in order to attend to them. And on those times when the men think their partner isn't sexually interested, then she actually was. The woman reported being more in need of some sort of commitment. The researchers stress that guys underestimate their partner's wish to keep away from sexual rejection. If a man initiates intercourse and his spouse rebuffs him, he may additionally feel awful or resentful, and she may additionally feel annoyed by assuming she isn't involved and now not initiating. He avoids this downward spiral, and he additionally may work more hardly to entice her, which may provide an explanation for why she nonetheless feels content material on these days. How having a lot of intercourse is normal. Almost 80% of married couples have intercourse a few times a month or more. 32% of couples noted having intercourse 2 to 3 times a week. 47% say they have intercourse a few times a month. Men have a greater intercourse power on average, as research has found. But in long-term relationships, typically described as longer than 3 years, men are equally, as in all likelihood as girls, to be the associate with low sexual desire. At June 2015, an article in the journal Current Sexual Health Reports reviewed 31 researches on sexual wish and sexual discrepancy and observed no gender variations in which a couple had the greater intercourse drive. The assumption that female are going to be the lower desire associates desires to be thrown out, because it doesn't work that way. Psychologists say that there are a variety of motives why a man would possibly underestimate how a whole lot intercourse his girl companion wants. Some girls don't experience blissful initiation during sex. Others give up initiating after their cues are left out or ignored repeatedly and may simply don't want to send clear, adequate signals. The trouble of ladies no longer speaking nicely about their wish is extra complicated than couples think. The girl may also no longer definitely understand what she needs sexually, so she hasn't bothered speaking her desires or would feel uncomfortable following through with what she requested for. Or she might also be aware of that she is the higher desire accomplice and be attempting to spare his feelings so he doesn't feel compelled or unmanly if he doesn't desire to do it with her. So, what can a couple do? Communicate. Not simply about when they choose to have intercourse or when they like, however, additionally about what indicators they use to exhibit their desire. They ought to additionally speak about what indicators they select to receive. When speaking with your associate about sex or whatever sensitive issue, use the phrase we rather of the phrase you. A desirable way to begin is to say, this is necessary to me. How can we create a state of affairs that is cozy for each of us? That way, there is no blaming going on. It'll just be the couple sitting down to resolve the trouble together. If you can notice that your companion is in the mood for intercourse, however you don't seem to be in the mood, don't just blow him off. Explain that you find their very eye-catching and you would like to be intimate with them but not at that moment, and promise to do it some other time. Consider having intercourse even if you're not in the mood. Research suggests that humans in long-term relationships who do this, is it not known as showing sexual communion strength, are better capable to hold their sexual wish every time. Think about scheduling it. It doesn't sound romantic though, but it is in the truth what more modern couples do when they schedule dates. A find out about techniques girls use to sync their wants with their partners. Carried out by the way of researchers and confirmed this is to be a very fine way of boosting couples' sexual satisfaction. It is a fact men have a greater intercourse power than women. Are all relationships doomed? It would possibly appear like a cliche. However, the fact is that typically, guys have greater activity in intercourse than women. In fact, 51% of guys would like to have intercourse at least each and every day, in contrast to solely 7% of women. We hear about it everywhere. Stand-up comedians and sitcoms make the most of it. It is a preferred subject at mothers' groups, and you don't want to grab around a bar or job site to get a notion that is no longer only the subject matter of a million jokes, however, additionally a large problem. When couples discuss a mismatch in their degrees of desires, this can purpose a broad range of problems. These can vary from the apparent, such as dissatisfaction with their intercourse life, to greater deeply felt issues and fears about body issues and self-esteem. The love their accomplice has for them, infidelity, and the future of the relationship. Men can feel rejected, undesirable, and as even though their manhood has been challenged, whilst ladies can lift a lot of guilt, lose their experience of self, and concern that their incapability to suit their partner's degree of want will lead to the quit of the relationship. However, the suitable information is that this is a frequent ride that nearly all couples have to navigate, and some couples have determined methods to positively toughen their bond, even with this challenging issue. It turns out that when a want mismatch exists, solely one over two of all couples are distressed by using this. What we can analyze from these couples is that there are many solutions. They show up to get through with proper communication, the willingness to meet every other's needs, and by way of dealing with the hassle head on alternatively than ignoring or averting it. The energy and flexibility to be like this with every difference that in these instances when they experience guilt, rejection, or disappointment comes from a solid and vulnerable foundation. Couples therapists can assist couples to restore the harm that mismatched wish may additionally have brought on them and discover their way to long-lasting exchange so that this trouble does not proceed to bring problems. They do this by supporting them to understand and believe every difference in a new way, so that they naturally favor to flip to their associate as a substitute than a way when instances get tough. It will possibly take some time and endurance to discover your way again to a pleasant intercourse existence and enjoyable relationship. However, the wonderful alternative this can make to your lifestyle is immeasurable. If you would like to research more about deepening and strengthening that essential bond with your partner, try communicating with them. It works better. So there it is, guys. Now, it's obvious though men have a higher sexual drive than women, any of them could be the one to initiate the intercourse. No one should be looked down on for doing just that. We can't always control the way our body functions. Thanks a lot for watching. Please subscribe, like and share this video, and leave a comment below on your thoughts. Thanks again and bye for now.